Welcome to Zoe Stories. The millionaire's bet turned me into his daughter. I never thought a single bet could unravel everything I knew about myself until the millionaire smiled and changed my life forever. My life had always been quiet, predictable, and painfully ordinary. At 20, I was working a dead-end job in a small town, barely scraping by, my social life non-existent, and my confidence almost invisible. Friends were rare, and love was an even more distant dream. I had resigned myself to being nothing extraordinary.
Until that day.
I had been running an errand in the city when I ran into him. Alexander Moreau, the billionaire heir whose reputation preceded him. Known for his extravagant lifestyle, ruthless business moves, and a dangerously charismatic presence, he was exactly the type of person I had always avoided. But fate, or perhaps sheer misfortune, had other plans. "Careful there," he said smoothly, a teasing smile dancing across his face. "You almost spilled your coffee on me." I muttered an apology, feeling my cheeks heat as he studied me like a predator examining prey. There was something unnerving about the way his eyes lingered, curious, calculating, and subtly dominant. "You look ordinary," he continued, almost to himself. Then his smile widened, sharp and mischievous. "I like that. But what if I could make you extraordinary?" I froze. "Excuse me?" He laughed, a rich, teasing sound. "A bet," he said. "Simple, really. If you succeed, I'll reward you handsomely. Fail, and, well, let's just say things will change." Before I could respond, he pulled out a contract, elegantly designed, with gold lettering that screamed wealth and power. My curiosity battled my instinctual hesitation, and I signed. It started innocently enough. Alexander's instructions were clear but strange. I was to present myself as his daughter for a week, a public role, fully immersed, no deviation allowed. "You will become her," he said with a smile. "Dress, behave, speak, everything. Only then will the bet be fair." I blinked. "But I'm a guy." "That's the challenge," he replied lightly. "And trust me, it will be enlightening." Returning home that evening, I stared into my mirror, the contract lying on my desk. I had always known I was shy, awkward, and plain, but the thought of being seen as a beautiful, graceful young woman terrified me to my core. My hands shook as I touched my own face, imagining the soft blush, the delicate curls, the dresses, the heels. I couldn't help but feel a spark of fear and something else, something thrilling, a tiny whisper of curiosity. Could I actually pull this off? Could I become her? The first day of transformation began with a visit from his personal stylist, a woman named Celeste, who radiated authority and elegance. She guided me through lingerie, dresses, makeup, and the subtleties of feminine posture. "Relax," she instructed, her voice soft but commanding. "Every movement matters. Every glance matters. You will be perfect, or you will fail." I nodded, trembling. The mirror reflected someone unfamiliar, soft features accentuated by blush, lips slightly tinted, hair cascading perfectly over my shoulders. My heart pounded. This could be me. Or it could destroy me. Alexander's gaze was always present, whether in person or through occasional video calls. His amusement, his subtle control, and his expectation weighed on me like a heavy cloak. Every small slip, every falter, every hesitant glance was noticed. And yet, the thrill, the shame, the vulnerability made something inside me stir, a strange, confusing mix of fear and excitement. "You're doing well," Alexander said one evening, leaning back in his chair, watching me adjust my dress in the mirror. "But remember, perfection is not just about appearance. It's about presence, confidence, and submission." I shivered. His control was intoxicating. And despite my fear, a part of me, an entirely new part, began to awaken. That night, alone in my room, I stared at the reflection in the mirror. The boy I had been was fading, and the girl I was becoming trembled, vulnerable, and undeniably alive. A text appeared on my phone from Alexander. "Tomorrow, you will meet your first challenge. Public exposure." and everyone will see her. Are you ready? My pulse raced. I wasn't sure I wanted to be, but deep down, I knew I had no choice. I stepped out into the world, heels clicking against the marble floor, and felt every eye like fire on my skin. The morning sun poured through the wide windows of Alexander's penthouse. Today was the day of my first public test, and my heart felt like it would leap from my chest. The girl in the mirror was ready, or, at least, she appeared ready. Soft curls framed my face, makeup subtly highlighting my features, a delicate dress hugging my new feminine silhouette. I had never looked like this before, never felt so exposed, so delicate, so visible. Celeste appeared at the door, her presence calm but commanding. "Remember," she said, adjusting the strap of my dress, "every glance matters. Confidence is key. You are hers, and now the world will see." I nodded, my stomach twisting in anxiety and excitement. Every step toward the door felt like crossing into another life, a life that I wasn't sure I was ready to live. Alexander was waiting in the lobby, his expression a mix of amusement and anticipation. "Good morning, my daughter," he said smoothly. "Today, you will meet the world. Public exposure, and let's see how convincing you can be." I swallowed hard. The words, "my daughter," rang in my ears, both humiliating and strangely thrilling. The girl in the mirror, trembling and vulnerable, met my eyes. She was mine to guide, yet I had to embody her fully, without falter. We arrived at the upscale shopping district, crowded with weekend shoppers. Alexander held my hand loosely, guiding me through the crowds. Every step in the heels made my legs ache. Every movement felt exaggerated under the scrutiny of strangers. My face burned as people turned to glance, whisper, or stare. "You're doing well," Alexander murmured, his lips brushing my ear. "But perfection isn't just appearance. You must act, move, speak, be her." The challenge intensified when we stopped at a luxury boutique. Alexander's stylist, Celeste, appeared again, guiding me through the subtleties of posture, gestures, and conversation. She handed me a designer dress and instructed me to try it on in the store, in front of the staff and other customers. I froze, panic rising like a tide. Dressing in private had been one thing, but here, in front of strangers, completely exposed, it felt unbearable. "Remember," Celeste whispered, "she is confident, elegant, desirable. Every glance, every motion belongs to her." I nodded, trembling. The changing room felt like a stage, the thin curtain barely concealing me from the staff and other shoppers. As I stepped out, fully dressed, the world seemed to stop. Eyes lingered, whispers rippled, and every nerve in my body screamed. A woman paused near the mirror, glancing at me with admiration. You look so beautiful," she murmured. My cheeks burned crimson. The sensation, embarrassment, exhilaration, and a strange, unexpected thrill washed over me. For the first time, I felt the power and vulnerability of being fully feminine, fully visible. The rest of the day was a blur of public appearances, poses, and guided interactions. Every step, every word, every smile was scrutinized, not just by Alexander, but by the strangers around me. The humiliation, exposure, and thrill intertwined, pulling me further into the girl I was becoming. By evening, my legs ached, my makeup was slightly smudged, and my heart was still racing. But a strange satisfaction filled me, fear and exhilaration blending into an intoxicating mix. Back in Alexander's penthouse, he studied me with a predatory smile. "You did well today," he said softly, circling me like a hawk. "But tomorrow, the challenge will be greater. A public event, with cameras, people, and scrutiny. Everyone will see her, and she must not falter." My pulse raced. I wasn't sure I could handle it, and yet a small, forbidden thrill stirred inside me. The girl in the mirror was alive, trembling, and undeniably mine to guide, but the world was about to see her, and nothing would ever be the same. The chandeliers sparkled above me, but all I could feel was every pair of eyes piercing straight through my soul. The invitation had arrived in a golden envelope, embossed with Alexander Moreau's monogram. Inside, an elegantly printed card announced the most exclusive gala of the season, an event brimming with socialites, celebrities, and influential businessmen. And I was to attend as his daughter. My heart pounded in anticipation and terror. The girl in the mirror stared back at me, trembling yet radiant, as I tried on my gown for the first time. The dress was a masterpiece, satin, perfectly tailored to my curves, flowing just above the ankle, with subtle embellishments that caught the light. My heels made my legs ache, but they elongated my posture, forcing grace and poise I had never possessed before. Celeste fussed over every detail, adjusting curls, checking makeup, repositioning jewelry. "Perfection," she whispered. "This is more than looks. Every gesture, every glance, every word, it must be flawless." I nodded, swallowing hard. Every fiber of my being screamed anxiety, fear, and an unfamiliar excitement. Alexander arrived to escort me. His eyes were sharp, calculating, yet there was an undeniable pride in the way he looked at me. "Tonight," he said, "the world will see her. And you will be flawless. Or there will be consequences." The ride to the gala was quiet. I stared at my reflection in the car window, the girl's face hauntingly beautiful, soft and delicate. The boy I had been seemed like a distant memory, a shadow of the past. When we arrived, the crowd and cameras hit me like a tidal wave. Flashing lights, murmurs, and curious glances surrounded me. Every step felt like walking a tightrope. Every smile and nod had to be calculated, every word elegantly measured. Alexander led me into the center of attention. "Smile," he whispered, "and remember, she is hers. Every move, every glance, every reaction belongs to her." The photographer's flashes blinded me momentarily, and whispers of admiration filled the air. "She's stunning beautiful. Is she really his daughter?" I could feel my heart racing, legs trembling, lips quivering. Humiliation, fear, and an odd thrill coursed through me. I was exposed, vulnerable, and alive in ways I had never imagined. A handsome young man approached, his gaze curious and admiring. "I haven't seen you before," he said, his voice warm. "You're beautiful." Heat surged through me. The blush on my cheeks was impossible to hide, and yet a small, forbidden thrill sparked inside me. The attention, the desire, the vulnerability, it was intoxicating. Alexander's voice cut softly into my ear. "Remember, she is yours, but the world will watch. Do not falter." Confidence, poise, perfection. For hours, I navigated the gala, posing for photos, engaging in conversation, walking among socialites and strangers alike. Every glance, every whisper, every flicker of attention forced me deeper into the girl I had become. The boy I had been was gone, replaced entirely by someone delicate, graceful, and exposed. By the end of the night, my legs ached, my hands trembled, and my heart raced. Yet, a strange sense of accomplishment washed over me. The girl in the mirror, the one Alexander had demanded I become, was alive, visible, and undeniably real. Back at the penthouse, Alexander studied me with that same piercing intensity. "You survived your first gala," he said, a sly smile playing on his lips. "But tomorrow, I have arranged a meeting that will truly test her. A situation where everyone she knows could recognize her, and her secret will be on the line." My pulse spiked uncontrollably. Recognition? Exposure? My chest tightened. The thrill, the fear, the humiliation, it was all building, and I realized with a shiver that there was no turning back. The girl I had become was alive, and soon, the world might know her too. I froze mid-step when I saw him, someone from my past who could unravel everything in a single glance. The morning after the gala, the penthouse felt unusually quiet. The girl in the mirror, soft curls perfectly in place, delicate makeup highlighting her youthful face, and a flowing dress that clung just enough to hint at my form, stared back at me. Her eyes were wide with lingering awe and fear. Celeste arrived promptly, her expression serious. "Today's lesson is critical," she said, her voice soft but unyielding. "You will go to the boutique. But there's a twist, someone familiar, maybe there. You must maintain composure. I froze. Someone familiar? Someone who knows the boy you used to be, Celeste replied, adjusting the strap of my dress. If they recognize her, or him, it could be disastrous. But it will test her fully. The boutique was bustling with a weekend crowd. I felt every eye on me as I walked gracefully among the racks, heels clicking lightly against the floor. My hands trembled slightly as I touched fabrics, feeling exposed yet elegant. And then, I saw him. A former friend from high school, Jason, stood browsing accessories. Our eyes met for a split second, and I froze. My chest tightened, my mind spinning. Recognition in his eyes. Confusion? Astonishment? I forced myself to smile, tilt my head, and adjust a bracelet on my wrist. Any small motion to assert the girl I had become. Hello, he said cautiously, stepping closer. Wait, is that you? Heat surged through my body. The blush on my cheeks burned fiercely. I struggled to maintain composure, forcing my voice into a gentle, melodic tone. Hi, yes, it's me. I whispered softly, trying to keep the tremor from my voice. Jason's gaze lingered, searching for familiarity, for clues. I could feel the fear, the shame, and a bizarre thrill mingling together inside me. Every second felt like an eternity. Celeste appeared beside me, guiding my hand lightly. Remember, she is hers. Confidence, poise, perfection, she murmured. I nodded, trembling but determined. Every word, every glance, every gesture had to reinforce the girl I was now. I had no choice. If Jason discovered my secret, everything could unravel. Wow, you've changed, Jason said, finally breaking into a smile. You look amazing. A shiver ran down my spine. Admiration, embarrassment, and a strange excitement intertwined. The girl in the mirror, delicate, soft, vulnerable, was alive, and Jason's recognition confirmed both her reality and my transformation. By the time we left the boutique, my legs ached, my hands trembled, and my mind raced. Alexander's text pinged as we returned to the penthouse. Well done. You survived recognition. Tomorrow, a public event with press and cameras. She will be watched by hundreds. Perfection or exposure? Panic surged. Public exposure? Cameras? Reporters? The stakes had escalated. The girl I had become was alive, visible, and undeniably hers, but now everyone could see her. That night, staring at the reflection in the mirror, I whispered softly, I don't know if I can survive this next test. The girl in the mirror blinked back, delicate and radiant, vulnerable, exposed and alive. And somewhere deep inside, I realized with a shiver, the worst was yet to come. As the cameras flashed and questions poured in, every nerve in my body screamed, and I realized the world would never see me the same way again. The penthouse was buzzing with activity that morning. Stylists, makeup artists, and security staff moved with precision, preparing me for the event Alexander had insisted I attend. The invitation was clear: a charity gala with press coverage, live cameras, and influential guests. Celeste hovered nearby, adjusting the hem of my gown and the curls in my hair. Remember, she said softly, confidence is everything. Every glance, every word, every smile must belong to her. This is the ultimate test, and the world will watch. I nodded, though my hands trembled slightly. My reflection in the mirror revealed the girl I had become, delicate, poised, radiant. And yet, fear churned in my stomach. The boy I had been was gone, replaced by someone exposed, vulnerable, and entirely visible to the world. Alexander arrived to escort me, his expression a blend of amusement and pride. Tonight, he said, his voice smooth, she will be seen by hundreds. Cameras, reporters, everyone will know her. Remember, perfection or exposure. My heart raced. I had survived private challenges, public recognition, and small social tests, but this was a different scale entirely. The glare of cameras, the scrutiny of strangers, and the knowledge that anyone could recognize me made my chest tighten. The gala hall was magnificent, glittering chandeliers casting a warm glow over the room. Reporters and photographers lined the red carpet. Flashing cameras illuminated every corner, capturing the elegance of the event and me. Alexander led me forward, heels clicking with deliberate precision. My hands trembled slightly, but I forced my shoulders back and my chin up, letting the girl I had become dominate my movements. Every smile, every tilt of my head, every graceful step was calculated, an intricate dance of poise and performance. The press swarmed us immediately. "Who is this stunning young woman?" a reporter called, microphone thrust forward. Alexander smiled, his hand lightly on my back. "She's my daughter," he said smoothly, his eyes flicking to mine. "And isn't she beautiful?" Heat surged through me. The blush on my cheeks burned fiercely. Every flash of the camera, every whisper, every stare made my pulse hammer. I was exposed, vulnerable, and undeniably alive. A young journalist approached, her eyes bright with curiosity. "You look amazing," she said. "How does it feel to be in the public eye like this?" I swallowed hard, my voice soft and melodic. "It's exhilarating," I whispered, forcing calm despite the pounding of my heart. "A bit overwhelming, but wonderful." Alexander's gaze was piercing. "Good," he murmured. "Remember, she is hers." Confidence, poised perfection. The rest of the evening blurred into a whirlwind of photos, interviews, and interactions. Every word, every smile, every gesture was scrutinized. I felt the thrill of exposure, the sting of vulnerability, and the strange, intoxicating joy of being admired. The girl in the mirror, soft, delicate, radiant, was alive, visible, and undeniably real. By the end of the night, I was exhausted, legs aching from the heels, hands trembling from nervous energy, and heart racing from the intensity. Yet, a strange sense of accomplishment filled me. I had survived the ultimate public test. Returning to Alexander's penthouse, a new message appeared on my phone. "Tomorrow, a private test awaits." Intimate, revealing, she will confront her desires, her fears, and the truth about herself. "Are you ready?" I swallowed hard, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The girl in the image smiled faintly, delicate, radiant, and alive. And deep down, I realized with a shiver, the world had seen her. And tomorrow, nothing would be the same. I had survived the world's gaze, but now I faced the one person who could see every hidden part of me, and I wasn't sure I was ready. The morning sun barely filtered through the thick curtains of Alexander's private suite. The room smelled faintly of expensive perfume and warm leather, a scent that somehow made my chest tighten. Today was not a public challenge. This was a private test, carefully orchestrated by Alexander and Celeste, designed to strip away every layer of my hesitation and vulnerability. The girl in the mirror looked back at me, delicate curls framing her face, eyes wide and shimmering, dress soft and feminine. I had walked, smiled, and posed for strangers. I had survived recognition. I had endured cameras and reporters. But now it was different. Celeste entered first, moving with quiet precision. "Today," she said softly, "is about you entirely. Your desires, your fears, your identity, everything will be tested. And Alexander will be here to guide you." My stomach twisted. Guide me or watch me fall? She smiled faintly, a mixture of cruelty and encouragement. Perhaps both. That is part of becoming her. Alexander arrived shortly after, his expression calm but unreadable. He didn't speak at first. He simply watched, eyes sharp, body relaxed in quiet dominance. I could feel his gaze tracing every line of my body, every movement of my hands, every flicker of emotion across my face. "Today," he said finally, "you will confront yourself. The girl in the mirror and the boy you used to be. Only by facing both can she fully exist." I swallowed hard. My pulse raced. The idea of confronting the boy I had been, the shy, awkward, invisible boy, was terrifying. But I knew Alexander was right. I couldn't hide behind appearances anymore. The test began with Celeste guiding me through layers of lingerie, delicate fabrics, and soft dresses, each piece carefully selected to enhance my feminine form. I felt every touch acutely, soft silk against my skin, lace brushing against my collarbones, every strap a reminder of how exposed I had become. "Look at yourself," Celeste whispered, guiding my gaze to the mirror. "See her. Know her. She is beautiful. She is alive. And yet she is still learning. She is still vulnerable. That is where growth begins." I trembled, staring at the reflection. The girl in the mirror looked radiant, delicate, and alive. But a part of me, the boy I had been, fought against this new identity. Fear, doubt, and shame churned inside me, threatening to overwhelm the thrill and excitement of my transformation. Alexander stepped closer, his presence commanding yet oddly comforting. "You are beautiful," he murmured, his voice low and steady. "But beauty alone is not enough. You must feel it, live it, and accept it." He guided me through posture exercises, soft voice modulation, and delicate movements, each designed to refine the girl I had become. Every step was intimate, every word deliberate, every touch electrifying. I felt embarrassment, arousal, and an unfamiliar pride mingling into a whirlwind of emotion I had never experienced. By the end of the session, I was trembling, legs weak, hands slick with nervous sweat, heart racing. But beneath the fear and vulnerability was a growing sense of exhilaration. The girl in the mirror wasn't just a reflection anymore. She was alive, aware, and undeniably me. As I collapsed softly onto the chaise lounge, Alexander's hand rested lightly on my shoulder. "Tomorrow," he said, a dark gleam in his eyes, "you will meet someone who will see her, desire her, and perhaps awaken feelings you never imagined. She must be ready." I shivered, my pulse hammering. The private test had stripped me bare, emotionally, physically, and mentally. But the next challenge promised something even deeper, exposure not just to the world, but to desire itself. The girl in the mirror blinked back at me, trembling, radiant, and alive. He walked into the room, and every nerve in my body screamed. I wasn't just seen, I was desired. The morning after the private test, I felt a strange tension between fear and excitement. The girl in the mirror, soft curls perfectly framing her delicate face, makeup accentuating her wide eyes, dress flowing gracefully over my new curves, was alive, radiant, and undeniably visible. But today, Alexander had promised an entirely different challenge, someone from the outside world, someone whose presence would push my emotional and physical boundaries. Celeste entered first, her expression calm but sharp. "Today she will meet him," she said softly. "He is special. He will test her, tempt her, and force her to confront feelings she may not understand yet." I swallowed hard, the knot in my stomach tightening. "Who is he?" "A friend," Celeste replied lightly, though her eyes gleamed with something unreadable. "Someone who doesn't know who she used to be, but he will see her fully. And she must respond appropriately." When the door opened, he entered, tall, confident, with eyes that seemed to pierce straight through me. His smile was casual but warm, his gaze lingering in a way that made my heart race. I felt every inch of the girl I had become shiver under his attention. "Hello," he said smoothly. "I'm Ethan. I hear a lot about you." My voice caught in my throat. The melodic, soft tone of the girl I was becoming trembled slightly as I managed a shy, careful smile. "Hi," I whispered, my pulse hammering. "It's nice to meet you." Alexander watched silently from across the room, his gaze piercing, measuring, and dominant. I knew immediately that this was a test, not just of poise or beauty, but of desire, control, and emotional vulnerability. Celeste guided me subtly, adjusting my posture, the tilt of my head, and the way my hands rested. Every movement was deliberate, every glance calculated to evoke curiosity and admiration from Ethan. "You're beautiful," Ethan said softly, leaning slightly closer. "I didn't expect this. You're extraordinary." Heat surged through my body. The blush on my cheeks burned fiercely. Embarrassment, exhilaration, and an unfamiliar thrill intertwined. I was exposed, vulnerable, and undeniably alive. The girl in the mirror wasn't just a reflection anymore. She was real, and someone desired her. Over the next hour, Ethan engaged me in conversation, his attention unwavering. Every compliment, every laugh, every small touch, subtle, almost accidental, made my heart race. I felt embarrassment, desire, and a strange, intoxicating pride. The boy I had been could never have handled this. Alexander's presence was constant but quiet, a shadow of authority that reminded me of the stakes. Every smile, every movement, every word had to belong to the girl I had become. Yet, deep inside, I felt a dangerous pull toward Ethan, something forbidden, thrilling, and overwhelming. As the meeting ended, Ethan stepped closer, his gaze lingering on mine. "I hope we'll see each other again," he said softly, voice low and intimate. I nodded, trembling, voice barely audible. "Why, yes, I'd like that." As he left, I sank onto the chaise lounge, hands trembling, heart pounding. Celeste and Alexander observed quietly, their expressions unreadable. "You did well," Alexander murmured, circling me like a hawk. "But desire, attention, admiration, these are tools now. She must learn to wield them, or they will control her." I shivered, realizing the depth of the challenge. The girl in the mirror, delicate, radiant, alive, was no longer just a reflection. She was seen, desired, and tested. That night, alone in my room, I whispered to the mirror. I don't know who I am anymore. The girl, the boy, the desire, everything is tangled inside me." A text pinged on my phone from Alexander. "Tomorrow, a public gala with familiar faces. Someone from your past may recognize her. She must not falter." My pulse raced. Recognition, exposure, and the stirrings of desire. I wasn't sure I was ready. The girl in the mirror blinked back, trembling, radiant, alive. The moment I stepped onto the red carpet, every whisper, every flash, every gaze felt like fire, and I wasn't sure I could survive it. The day of the gala arrived with a tension that wrapped around my chest like iron chains. I had survived private tests, recognition, and even desire, but tonight, the stakes were higher than ever. Alexander had orchestrated everything. The event was filled with high-profile guests, cameras, and, most terrifying of all, people from my past who might recognize me. Celeste appeared first, her expression calm but unreadable. "Today," she said, adjusting my dress and curls, "you will navigate elegance, poise, and secrecy. Anyone who sees you could unravel everything. Stay her or risk exposure." I nodded, though my hands trembled slightly. My reflection in the mirror revealed the girl I had become, soft, delicate, radiant, and alive, but the fear of being recognized clawed at me from inside. Alexander arrived, impeccably dressed, his expression a mix of amusement and intensity. "Remember," he said quietly, "she is hers. Every smile, every gesture, every glance, perfection or exposure." I took a deep breath, forcing my shoulders back and chin high. The heels dug into my feet, but they demanded grace, posture, and poise, everything the girl in the mirror embodied. The red carpet was a sea of flashing cameras, whispered conversations, and curious glances. My heart pounded with every step. Strangers stared openly, murmuring about my beauty, my elegance, and the perfection of my appearance. Every flash of a camera made my cheeks burn. Every murmur made my pulse spike. And then, I saw him. Jason, the friend from high school who could have exposed everything. His eyes widened the instant he saw me. Recognition flickered in them, but before panic could set in, I forced a delicate, confident smile. "Hello," I said softly, voice melodic, practiced. "I'm glad to see you here." Jason's jaw tightened, eyes searching. Wow. You look incredible." A shiver of exhilaration ran through me. Embarrassment, fear, and a strange thrill mingled inside me. I was exposed, visible, and undeniably alive. The girl in the mirror, delicate, radiant, and trembling, was real, and someone from my past had seen her. Alexander's hand on my back was steady and grounding. "Good," he whispered. "Confidence, poised perfection. Never falter." The rest of the evening was a blur of social interactions, photography, and delicate maneuvers to maintain my cover. Every compliment, every glance, every brush of a hand against mine made my heart race. Desire, attention, admiration, they were intoxicating, and I felt their pull deeply. By the end of the night, exhaustion and exhilaration mingled. My legs ached from the heels, my hands trembled from nerves, and my heart raced uncontrollably. But beneath it all was a quiet sense of accomplishment. I had survived recognition, cameras, and scrutiny. Back at the penthouse, Alexander and Celeste observed silently as I removed my dress. "Tomorrow," Alexander said, eyes dark and intense, "she will meet him again. But this time alone. Desire, vulnerability, and choice. She will confront all of it." I shivered, heart hammering. The girl in the mirror, trembling, radiant, alive, looked back at me. The world had seen her. And tomorrow she would face something even deeper. When the door closed behind him, my heart pounded. This was no longer a test of poise, but a test of everything I was becoming. The penthouse felt impossibly quiet after the gala. The lingering scent of perfume and champagne clung to the air, a reminder of the night's exposure and scrutiny. I sat in front of the mirror, staring at the girl reflected back at me, soft curls framing her delicate face, makeup highlighting wide, uncertain eyes, and a dress that accentuated curves I had only recently discovered. A text from Alexander appeared. "He's coming. Alone. Be ready." My pulse raced uncontrollably. I knew who he was. Ethan. The young man whose gaze had made my heart flutter and my body tense with unfamiliar sensations. I had survived social scrutiny, recognition, and public desire, but this was private. Intimate. Personal. Celeste entered, her expression calm but sharp. Tonight, she will confront everything: fear, desire, vulnerability. You must let it flow, or falter completely. I nodded, swallowing hard. My hands trembled as she adjusted my dress and curls one last time. Every movement was precise, every gesture deliberate. The girl in the mirror was radiant, alive, but terrified. When Ethan arrived, the door closed behind him, leaving only the three of us in the luxurious suite. His eyes widened as he saw me, admiration and desire flickering across his face. You look incredible," he said softly, voice low and warm. I can't stop looking at you." Heat surged through me. My cheeks burned, pulse racing. Embarrassment, excitement, and a strange thrill mingled together. I felt every inch of the girl I had become shiver under his gaze. Alexander remained silent, watching intently. Celeste's eyes were calm, guiding, encouraging. The tension was electric, heavy in the air. Ethan stepped closer, voice gentle. "I've never met anyone like you." I swallowed hard, voice trembling but melodic. I don't know what to say." He smiled softly, reaching out but not touching. "You don't have to say anything. Just be." And for the first time, I allowed myself to feel, not the fear of exposure, not the embarrassment, but desire, vulnerability, and the intoxicating pull of attention and admiration. The girl in the mirror wasn't just a reflection anymore. She was alive, aware, and experiencing things I had never imagined. The evening became a delicate dance of glances, words, and subtle touches. Every laugh, every shy glance, every small movement was electrifying. I felt embarrassment, desire, and exhilaration all at once. The boy I had been could never have handled this. The girl I had become was exposed, visible, and deeply alive. Alexander's piercing gaze remained constant, a silent reminder that every emotion, every response, every desire was being observed, measured, and molded. As Ethan leaned slightly closer, whispering compliments that made my cheeks burn, Alexander's calm, commanding voice cut through the tension. Tomorrow, she will face her ultimate challenge. Public scrutiny, desire, and recognition, all in one moment. She will confront who she is or risk losing herself entirely. I shivered, staring at the reflection in the mirror, trembling, radiant, and alive. The world, desire, and identity were colliding, and I wasn't sure I would survive the next storm. The crowd's gaze was suffocating, every flash of a camera a dagger, and I realized there was no turning back now. The morning of the ultimate challenge, the penthouse was electric with tension. Today, Alexander had designed the most daunting test yet, a high-profile charity event filled with cameras, press, socialites, and people from my past. Recognition, scrutiny, desire, all colliding into one impossible scenario. Celeste adjusted my dress for the third time, her expression calm but unyielding. "She must be perfect," she said softly. Every gesture, every glance, every word controlled. She cannot falter. If she does, everything is lost. I swallowed hard, heart pounding. The girl in the mirror looked delicate, radiant, alive, but terrified. Every inch of me screamed with anxiety. Alexander arrived, impeccably dressed, his gaze intense and piercing. "Remember," he said quietly, "she is hers. Confidence, poise, perfection, or exposure." My pulse raced. The heels pressed against my feet, demanding balance, grace, and control. Every movement, every step, every smile had to belong to her. The gala hall was magnificent, chandeliers casting warm light over the polished marble floors. Flashing cameras and murmurs from the crowd heightened my nerves. Alexander guided me to the entrance, whispering, "She will be watched by hundreds. Anyone from her past could recognize her. You must never falter." As we stepped onto the red carpet, I felt the weight of every gaze. Photographers shouted my name, reporters leaned forward, microphones thrust toward me. I forced a delicate, confident smile. Every step, every motion, every word was calculated. Then, I saw him. Jason. His eyes widened instantly, recognition flickering across his face. My heart leapt, panic clawing at my chest. I forced a graceful smile, tilting my head delicately. "Hi," I said softly, voice melodic, steady. "It's nice to see you." Jason blinked, searching, trying to reconcile the boy he had known with the girl before him. You look incredible," he finally whispered. Embarrassment, exhilaration, and fear twisted inside me. I was exposed, visible, and undeniably alive. The girl in the mirror, delicate, radiant, trembling, was real, and she was being recognized. The night blurred into a whirlwind of interactions, photos, and scrutiny. Every compliment, every glance, every brush of a hand sent shivers of embarrassment, thrill, and desire through me. Desire and exposure mingled, intoxicating and overwhelming. By the end of the event, my legs ached, hands trembled, and my heart raced. But beneath it all, a quiet pride emerged. I had survived public scrutiny, recognition, and temptation simultaneously. Back at the penthouse, Alexander's gaze was intense, almost predatory. "Tomorrow," he said, voice low and commanding, "she will confront the final truth, her identity, her desires, and her acceptance of who she has become. There is no turning back." The girl in the mirror, trembling, radiant, alive, looked back at me, and I realized with a shiver, the ultimate test was yet to come. When the truth came to light, my heart shattered and soared at the same time. I was no longer just me, but something entirely new. The morning after the gala, the penthouse was unusually quiet. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the elegant suite where every detail, from the polished floors to the soft drapes, exuded control, power, and precision. I sat in front of the mirror, the girl in the reflection staring back at me with wide, uncertain eyes. Soft curls framed my face, Delicate makeup enhanced my features, and a flowing dress highlighted every curve I had only recently discovered. Yet beneath the elegance, fear and anticipation churned. Today was the day my identity would be truly revealed, not to the world, but to those who had orchestrated my transformation. Alexander, Celeste, and now me. Celeste appeared first, her expression calm but sharp. "Today," she whispered, "she will confront herself. The girl you have become, and the boy you once were. There is no turning back. Only acceptance or loss." I swallowed hard, my hands trembling. The mirror reflected a delicate, radiant girl, but I could still feel traces of the boy I had been lingering deep inside. My pulse raced, my chest tight, and every nerve in my body screamed with anticipation. Alexander arrived shortly after, his gaze steady and intense. "It's time," he said quietly. "Everything you've endured, every challenge, every test, it all leads to this moment. She must confront her truth." I nodded, barely able to speak, and followed them to the private room prepared for the confrontation. The space was intimate, softly lit, and designed to reflect every emotion I might feel: fear, desire, vulnerability, and clarity. "Look at her," Celeste said, gesturing to the mirror. "See her fully. She is beautiful, delicate, alive. But she is also still learning, still questioning, still afraid." I stared, feeling every ounce of my transformation: the soft skin, the delicate curves, the melodic voice. Every challenge I had faced, the public events, the recognition, the desire, culminated here. The girl in the mirror was real. And yet, a part of me resisted, clinging to the boy I had been. Alexander stepped closer. "Say her name," he commanded softly. "Own her, accept her, or reject everything she represents." My voice trembled as I whispered, I am her. I am." Celeste's eyes gleamed.
Yes.
"Say it fully. She is yours. You are hers." And for the first time, I spoke fully, embracing the truth. I am her. I am the girl I was becoming. You accept it. Tears streamed down my cheeks as the weight of transformation, exposure, and desire lifted in part, leaving clarity behind. Alexander smiled faintly, approvingly, while Celeste's hand rested lightly on my shoulder. The girl in the mirror, trembling, radiant, alive, looked back at me, no longer just a reflection, but my reality. But then a new presence. Jason appeared at the doorway, hesitant, curious, astonished. Recognition flickered across his face, but instead of shock or judgment, admiration and warmth emerged. You're incredible," he whispered softly. "I can't believe this is you." The swirl of emotion was overwhelming: fear, embarrassment, desire, pride, and relief all colliding. The girl I had become was no longer hidden. She was seen, desired, and accepted. That night, alone in the penthouse, I whispered to the mirror. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. The girl I am, the boy I was, everything is tangled, but she is alive. And I think I'm ready to see what comes next." The reflection blinked back, delicate, radiant, trembling, alive. The moment I stepped into the world as her, every gaze, every whisper, every smile felt like both a trial and a triumph. The next morning, sunlight spilled into the penthouse, illuminating the polished floors and soft drapes. I sat before the mirror, running my hands through soft curls and smoothing the flowing dress over my curves. The girl I had become, delicate, radiant, alive, stared back at me. Celeste entered, her expression unreadable yet commanding. Today, she will step into the world fully. No private tests, no controlled environments. She will be seen by strangers, acquaintances, and those who never knew her secret. She must embody perfection and poise, or risk exposure. My pulse quickened. Exposure had always terrified me, yet there was an odd thrill mingling with the fear. The girl in the mirror was not just a reflection anymore. She was real, and now she would face reality. Alexander arrived, his presence calm, yet dominating. She is hers, he murmured. Every step, every glance, every smile, she is the girl you have made her. Do not falter. I nodded, forcing my legs into the heels, adjusting the delicate straps of my dress, and stepping into the world with trembling confidence. The streets were alive with bustling crowds, city sounds, and curious eyes. Every step sent shivers up my spine. Strangers turned, whispering, some staring openly. Every flash of a camera, every murmur of admiration, made my heart race. And then, a familiar face. Jason. His eyes widened instantly, recognition flashing across them. But unlike before, there was no judgment, only awe and warmth. You look amazing, he whispered, stepping closer. I can't believe this is really you. Embarrassment, exhilaration, and pride collided inside me. I was exposed, visible, and undeniably alive. The girl in the mirror, delicate, radiant, trembling, was now recognized in the public eye. Throughout the day, I navigated social interactions, public spaces, and casual encounters with strangers. Every compliment, every curious glance, every brush of a hand against mine reinforced the transformation. Desire, attention, admiration. They were intoxicating, and I felt them deep in my bones. By evening, exhaustion mingled with exhilaration. My legs ached from heels, my hands trembled from nervous tension, and my heart raced uncontrollably. Yet beneath it all, a quiet sense of pride emerged. I had stepped fully into the girl I had become, facing public scrutiny, recognition, and desire with grace. That night, alone in the penthouse, I whispered to the mirror. I am her. The world sees her. Desire and admiration, exposure and fear, all of it is real. And I think I'm ready for whatever comes next. The reflection blinked back, trembling, radiant, alive. But deep inside, I sensed the final challenge approaching. Not recognition, not desire, but full acceptance for myself. Standing at the edge of who I was and who I had become, I realized there was no halfway. I had to choose, or be consumed by indecision. The morning was quiet, almost impossibly still. Sunlight poured gently through the tall windows of the penthouse, illuminating the elegant suite where I had spent countless hours transforming, practicing, and learning to exist as her. I sat in front of the mirror, the girl staring back at me with wide, questioning eyes. Soft curls framed her face, makeup emphasizing delicate features, and the dress hugged my curves with perfect grace. She was radiant, alive, but so was the memory of the boy I had been. Shy, invisible, hesitant, vulnerable. Celeste entered first, calm, her eyes piercing. Today, she must choose, she said softly. The boy you were, or the girl you've become. There is no turning back after this. She will either embrace her new life fully, or retreat into what she was. I swallowed hard, heart pounding. The stakes were unlike anything I had faced. Public scrutiny, desire, and exposure had tested me, but this was internal, emotional, psychological. The ultimate confrontation with identity. Alexander arrived, his presence commanding and unwavering. She is hers, he said quietly. Every thought, every desire, every fear confronted. She must accept herself, completely, or everything she has endured will unravel. I felt a tremor run through me. The heels dug into my feet, my hands shook slightly, but I straightened my shoulders, forcing myself to meet the reflection in the mirror. The girl staring back at me was beautiful, radiant, alive. She had survived every test, every challenge, every exposure. And yet, the boy inside whispered, tugged at my mind, begged me to return to what was familiar. I thought of Ethan, whose desire had made me feel alive. I thought of Jason, whose recognition had validated the transformation in the public eye. I remembered every private lesson, every controlled test, every moment of humiliation and admiration. Each memory intertwined with my heart, creating a tangled web of fear, desire, pride, and vulnerability. Celeste's voice cut softly through my thoughts. You cannot hide behind her anymore. She is yours. Accept her or lose her forever. I closed my eyes, taking a deep, shuddering breath. My hands rested on the delicate curves of my body, feeling the soft silk of the dress, the warmth of my own skin. I thought of every test, every challenge, every moment that had brought me to this point. And finally I spoke, voice trembling, yet melodic. I accept her. I am her. Fully. I am the girl I've become. Tears streamed down my cheeks as a wave of release, exhilaration, and pride washed over me. The girl in the mirror, trembling, radiant, alive, looked back at me fully recognized, fully real, and fully mine. Alexander's eyes gleamed faintly, a mixture of approval and satisfaction. Good, he murmured. She is hers. And now, the world will see her fully. Celeste's hand rested lightly on my shoulder, a rare gesture of warmth. She has chosen. And she is stronger than anyone could have imagined. That evening, alone in the penthouse, I whispered to the mirror. The boy I was is gone. The girl I am is alive. But what comes next? Desire, recognition, acceptance, and love. Can I navigate all of it? The reflection blinked back, trembling, radiant, alive, and I realized the ultimate challenge had been met. The girl I had become was ready to face the world fully, but tomorrow would bring new tests, new desires, and new revelations. The moment I stepped into the world as her, I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was alive, radiant, and utterly free. The morning sun bathed the penthouse in golden light. The soft rustle of curtains and distant city sounds created a calm backdrop to a day that would mark a turning point. The girl in the mirror, trembling, radiant, alive, smiled back at me with a confidence I had never known. She was me, fully embraced and finally free. Celeste entered, her usual calm and sharp demeanor softened just slightly. Today, she steps into her life fully, she said. No tests, no challenges, no manipulations. Just her alive, seen, and desired. I nodded, heart pounding, as Alexander appeared behind her. His expression was a rare mixture of approval and pride. She has chosen well, he said quietly. And now, it is time for the world to know her. The city streets felt different this morning. Every glance, every whisper, every passing stranger seemed to notice her presence. For the first time, I moved not with fear or hesitation, but with grace, confidence, and poise. My heels clicked against the pavement in a rhythm that felt empowering. My dress flowed around me, silk and chiffon moving like extensions of myself. As I passed cafes, boutiques, and crowded sidewalks, strangers paused, admiring, whispering. Compliments and soft murmurs followed me like a symphony of validation. The girl I had become was seen, appreciated, and desired, and every glance, every recognition, filled me with exhilaration. Then, familiar faces appeared. Ethan and Jason, both looking shocked but undeniably drawn to me. Their smiles, the warmth in their eyes, the soft admiration. It was intoxicating. Desire, validation, and the thrill of recognition coursed through me. I realized for the first time that I was not merely surviving as her, I was thriving. Ethan stepped closer, voice low and intimate. You're stunning. I can't believe this is really you. Jason nodded, his gaze filled with awe. I've never seen anyone like you. It's incredible. The mix of admiration, desire, and validation overwhelmed me. I laughed softly, a sound melodic and light, and for the first time truly believed in her existence, the girl I had become. Alexander's hand rested briefly on my shoulder, a silent reminder of his guidance, his control, and the journey that had led to this moment. Celeste's eyes gleamed faintly with pride and amusement. She is hers, she whispered, and the world will see it now. Throughout the day, every social interaction, every glance, every whispered compliment reinforced my transformation. I felt embarrassment and exhilaration, vulnerability and pride, fear and desire. every emotion a vivid reminder of the journey I had endured. By evening, I returned to the penthouse, exhausted but triumphant. The mirror reflected her fully, trembling, radiant, alive, and entirely mine. No more fear, no more hesitation. She was real, and she was unstoppable. That night, alone and reflecting, I whispered to the mirror, "I am her. She is alive." Desire, recognition, love, and admiration. Everything is mine to embrace. But tomorrow will bring new challenges, new temptations, and new revelations. Am I ready? The reflection blinked back, trembling, radiant, alive, and I smiled, knowing one thing for certain. The girl I had become was finally living fully, and nothing could stop her now. The moment the truth was laid bare, everything I had feared, desired, and dreamed collided, and I realized I was no longer just surviving, but entirely alive. The penthouse was quiet, heavy with anticipation. Tonight, everything would change. Every lesson, every test, every exposure had led to this moment, the ultimate confrontation with my identity, my desires, and my place in the world. Alexander and Celeste stood silently, their eyes fixed on me. Not with judgment, but with a certainty I had learned to respect, fear, and crave. The girl in the mirror, delicate, trembling, radiant, was no longer just a reflection. She was real, alive, and ready. "You've faced everything," Alexander said, his voice low, commanding, and almost intimate. "Public scrutiny, desire, recognition, temptation. You've survived humiliation, exposure, and your own fears. Now, it's time for the truth to be revealed." My heart pounded. Every nerve in my body vibrated with anticipation. I had accepted her. I had embraced the girl I had become, but the final revelation would determine everything. Celeste gestured toward the mirror. "Look. Truly look. Not as the boy you were, not as the girl you pretend to be, but as her. The one who has endured, learned, and transformed. See her fully." I stared. My reflection was perfect, radiant, trembling, alive. Every curl, every curve, every delicate feature reflected the countless trials, temptations, and triumphs. And then a realization. I was no longer just a participant in this experiment. I was her. Alexander stepped closer, his gaze intense. "And now you will see who she truly is in the eyes of the world." The doors opened, revealing the guests from previous events, socialites, friends, and strangers alike. Their eyes widened at my appearance, whispers of admiration, awe, and desire echoing in the room. Recognition, validation, and attention washed over me like a tidal wave. Jason stepped forward, his expression a mix of shock and admiration. I can't believe this is really you," he whispered, his voice trembling. Ethan followed, his gaze soft and warm. "You're incredible. I've never seen anyone like you." The flood of recognition and desire was overwhelming. For the first time, I didn't feel fear or hesitation. I was alive, radiant, and fully embraced. Every test, every exposure, every lesson had led me here. Then Alexander revealed the final truth, the motive behind it all. Every step, every challenge, every moment was to show you the strength, beauty, and power of becoming her. Not just a girl in appearance, but a girl fully alive in the world, desired, seen, and accepted. Celeste's eyes softened as she added, "She is no longer yours or mine. She is herself, and the world will see her, love her, and desire her for who she truly is." Tears streamed down my cheeks as the weight of every challenge, every humiliation, every compliment, every glance, every desire settled into clarity. I had been transformed, yes, but I had also survived, grown, and fully embraced the girl I had become. Stepping forward, I faced the crowd, the mirror, and myself. Confidence, grace, and pride radiated from every movement. "I am her," I said, voice melodic, trembling, and real. "I am alive, desired, and fully myself." and I will never hide again. The applause, whispers, and admiration washed over me, exhilarating and intoxicating. Desire, recognition, and validation mingled perfectly with the pride of survival. I was no longer the boy who had feared exposure. I was the girl the world now saw, embraced and celebrated. Alone later that night, I gazed into the mirror, trembling, radiant, alive. I whispered softly, "I am her. I have survived everything. I am alive, and nothing will ever take this away from me." The reflection smiled back, delicate, trembling, radiant, alive. And in that moment, I realized it fully. The journey was over. The transformation was complete. I had become her, and she was unstoppable. Stepping into a life I never imagined, I realized transformation isn't just about appearance. It's about claiming every part of who I've become. The city lights shimmered through the penthouse windows, reflecting off polished floors and soft drapes. The girl I had become, delicate, radiant, and confident, stood at the center of the room, taking it all in. Everything had changed. The boy I had been was gone. The trials, the tests, the public scrutiny, they had shaped her, molded her, and now she was fully alive. Alexander and Celeste observed quietly, their usual authority softened by pride. They had guided me through humiliation, exposure, and desire, and now I was ready to navigate the world on my own terms. The next few days were surreal. Every interaction, every glance, every whisper from strangers felt like a confirmation. I was real, alive, and fully accepted as her. Cafes, boutiques, and social events became stages where I could express elegance, charm, and confidence. Every compliment, from an admirer, a stranger, or even a friend, was intoxicating. Ethan remained a constant presence, his admiration and desire genuine. "You're incredible," he said one evening, his hand brushing against mine in a soft, intimate gesture. "I don't just see the girl you've become, I see someone extraordinary." Jason, too, began to accept the change. His initial shock transformed into respect and fascination. "It's amazing watching you live as her," he confessed one afternoon. "You're powerful, confident, and stunning." But life wasn't just admiration and desire. The new life demanded responsibility, awareness, and vigilance. Every day required careful navigation of public attention, subtle judgment, and the expectations of those around me. I realized that being her meant embracing attention fully, balancing desire, admiration, and my own emotional needs. Mirror moments became less about identity crises and more about reflection. I studied my curves, soft skin, and flowing hair, not with fear or doubt, but with pride. She was real. I was real. And this new life was mine to claim. Celeste approached one evening, her eyes softened but sharp. "You've survived every test, every exposure. But remember, life as her will challenge you in ways no mentor, no bet, no lesson can prepare you for. You must continue to embrace her fully, even when the world tries to push you back." Alexander added, his voice calm but commanding, "She is yours. The girl you've become is strong, radiant, and alive. Protect her, nurture her, and live fully. There will be temptation, challenges, and desire, but she will thrive if you honor her." That night, alone in the penthouse, I whispered to the mirror, "I am her. I am alive, radiant, desired, and fully myself. Every step, every glance, every heartbeat is mine. I will live fully, and nothing will take this away from me." The reflection blinked back, trembling, radiant, alive, and I realized the truth. This was no longer about tests, transformation, or approval. It was about life itself, embracing desire, admiration, love, and self-acceptance fully. As the city lights reflected off the windows, I felt a soft vibration, a message on my phone. A new invitation, a new challenge, a new admirer reaching out. The girl I had become smiled. Her life was just beginning, and for the first time, I felt truly unstoppable.